Hey guys, it's Sky, and this is What's So Funny. So, August 3rd. Just, wow. August 3rd, I celebrated my 1 year anniversary of doing comedy and starting this amazing journey that has been comedy. And it's unbelievable where I started. The first time I took the stage at the Parliament Pit Stop, and now I'm hosting my own open mics. I'm going to different bars and doing open mics at 5 o'clock lounge, and just going and helping at the Cove, doing sound, and just so much, and it's just absolutely insane, and it doesn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real after a year. So yeah, and now August 15th is the second Thrive Together festival I'm doing. That's special to me because that was actually the very first big event that I was going to be a part of. And I was very excited because literally I really didn't have much going on in terms of comedy. And so that was going to be the really big thing I was doing. And I was very excited. So now a year in, and now this is going to be my second year, I'm so excited to be part of it again. It is to bring awareness to mental health. NAMI is working with Thrive Together, and this year I'm actually doing paintings with my animals who did like paw prints and like nose prints and just different things and little Picasso paintings of theirs, and each animal has like, it's written on who did what painting, and all the money that I make off of it is going right to NAMI. So it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, it's just been it's been wonderful getting to set that all up. Any free time that I have, I've literally been doing the paintings, so it's been really great. My office is currently being taken over by the paintings. So yeah. So as you guys know, What's So Funny, I put on YouTube for you guys to see. But with that being said, I want it to not just do What's So Funny, but I started wanting to share kind of mental health stuff as well, because I was doing that when I was doing my time on TikTok, but I didn't want to stop doing it. But I wanted to grow my page a bit. Now that I have 100 followers on YouTube, I feel like I can extend what I do on YouTube. So I'm starting a new segment about mental health awareness. I haven't quite started yet because, I haven't had exactly how I want to start the page or the segment, but I am going to start a mental health awareness segment on YouTube. As well as you've seen, I've started a Theater Geek one, which actually kind of started with Hadestown and their casting, which you've seen. I'm not going to go into that, but that's where it started. I have segments of stuff that I'm working on, and I've talked about it, where there's stuff on the horizon for that. I'm not going to go into detail on that because that's still a surprise. So yeah, I am I'm excited for the things to come, for the new segments of my YouTube channel. So yeah, it's gonna be very exciting. Still feeling that a year is still surreal. I know I'm so new to the game of comedy still, but there's so much that I'm still learning. Not even just about comedy, but about myself as a person, Before I started doing comedy, I was still learning about myself as a whole and learning about how I was going to better myself, because I was still not great at that, and I was going through a tough situation before I even started comedy. So I was still trying to adjust to that. And then comedy kind of fell into my lap when that tough situation was happening. So for a while, actually, I don't even have to be subtle about it. I don't know why I'm being subtle about it. So I ended up with a roommate situation where the roommate situation didn't work out. The roommate moved back with their parents. And during the first probably month of comedy, I was actually using comedy as an escape. And I know that's not what you're supposed to do, but I was doing that. And unfortunately, in my mental state, I was scared because it wasn't becoming fun anymore. It was becoming an escape. And for me, that's not what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be entertaining. I wanted it to be fun, and I wanted it to be something I was enjoying. And the problem is I didn't want the world to see that. I didn't want the world to see my struggle. I didn't want the world to see what I was dealing with. And back when I was struggling a lot, which was middle school and high school, my go-to response was to hide what I was dealing with. And that was a very go-to response for me, was to hide emotions. And the problem was, that's exactly what I went to, was go and hide. And I knew that's exactly what I had done, was hide. And I wasn't proud of myself. And I was hiding the fact that comedy was my escape. And I didn't want that. And when I caught on to what I was doing, not even a month into comedy, I was like, oh no. And it scared me. It very much scared me, because I didn't even know in a month in if I was going to make it 2 months in. Because I low-key, I'm not going to lie, I thought I was going to quit a month in. So the fact that 2 months in, I was pushing even harder, I think there was an incident with somebody, and I don't remember exactly the circumstance, but I got upset with somebody. That is low-key because I was dealing with what I was dealing with internally, and I was fighting with my own feelings. And that I don't, like I said, I don't share it because I was in the headspace of, I need to hide my emotions, and I need to hide how I feel. And I don't like being put back in that headspace. And it takes a lot to be thrown back in that headspace. So basically, once the roommate situation ended, and it was just me and my fiance again, comedy became fun again. Comedy became entertaining again. And comedy became not an escape. Now, I was also struggling with the fact that I went from, not always having free time, because when you had a roommate here, sometimes you wanted to hang with him, sometimes you didn't, but you felt like you had to. Because you also had to drive him places and shit. It was a complicated situation. And in your mind, you always seemed like just things were so complicated in your headspace, and it was your headspace. You felt like you didn't have a personal life because it was work, comedy, home. You had none of your own personal time, and your downtime didn't exist. So now I had to learn to have my own downtime. And so with comedy, yes, I'm gonna put the time in for comedy, but I had to learn how to have downtime so my mental health was still in check, how to do comedy, and how to have my personal life and how to do my work life. I'm not gonna lie, for the first probably, I'd say 3 to 4 months of comedy, that was like a war zone. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't. Because I was getting I was internally like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this? I don't know how on earth I'm supposed to do this. Eventually I figured it out, but it took like 5 months total to figure it out. And once I figured it out, I was able to finally breathe and be like, okay, so I can do gaming here, or I can do this here, and then I can do this here, and then I can do this here. And I finally figured it out, and I was able to finally breathe and be like, oh, yay, I finally have a personal life again. Oh, I can finally do this again. And comedy was still able to be fun. I was able to have a personal life. I was able to have a home life. I was able to do this and this and this. And I didn't feel overly stressed, which was great. And I was proud of myself. But adjusting to comedy in a personal life was hard because I didn't feel like I was ever going to have one. Do I feel overwhelmed? Not anymore. Did I at one point though? Yes, absolutely. It is crazy because also on top of all that, I wanted to add to my craziness and I wanted to host my very first open mic, which I did February 25th, 2026. That was 5 months ago. And that's actually been going pretty well. I don't get the strongest amount of people coming, but yeah, that was a goal. But at the same time, I have people who come pretty weekly, and I love it. I love the fact that I get to meet people, and I love the fact that I get pretty much the same people who come and say that it's been a great open mic to be a part of. So that's what makes me feel good. And then there was something else I wanted to mention. And then also I wanted to mention that, I remember the very first interview that I did about what my comedy goals are. And even if they're micro goals, as Jimmy Ward III said, one of the goals I think that I'd come up with early on is actually balancing act of personal life, work life, and comedy life. And I think I've achieved that goal pretty well, where I can go to cons, where I can be at home, where I can have time to game. Because there was a long period where I didn't game because I didn't fucking have time. Because I was either sleeping, working, or I had to take care of the animals. Now I can game, and I very much enjoy it. Now I can hang out with my friends and stream because I have time, because I can enjoy it. So I think I've actually achieved one of my micro goals, which was have time to do all three, and I'm very happy. So I will say the micro goal idea from Jimmy Ward III has been achieved. So, do I have any new micro goals? Not at the moment, I would say. I would have to really sit that one down and think, but at the moment, probably not. Just because right now I'm just trying to get a set down that I've been working on. It's the the animals taking on my life set that I'm working on. I was doing the Kilo Kit set, as I call it, but there's always sets. I mean, I have a whole book full of sets that I could do. I just I even wrote more sets. The one time I couldn't sleep, and literally I woke up at 2 a.m, wrote the set down, and then went back to sleep. And then the one time I got super stoned, literally wrote the set, and then passed out. Read it the next day, didn't remember writing it, but apparently it was very coherent, which is hilarious. Enough that sober me could read what high me made, and I'm like, I don't remember writing this, but cool. So my ghostwriter is apparently high me, and I'm like, okay. So if I ever want to write good jokes, I just have to get myself super stoned and then hope and pray that I remember to write jokes, or I just got high for absolutely nothing. I think it's just, a general rule of thumb. When you start out in comedy, eat up all the advice you can. Whether, for me, I take advice very strongly because I want to do good and succeed in this what I'm doing. Now, how do I know if it's good advice or bad advice? Here's the thing. When I started, I have people like Nancy Abraham, Jimmy Ward Jr., Brendan White. You know, those are the guys like I started with. Monty. So I kind of know my guys who are in my inner circle and everything. So I know who to kind of talk to about shit. And so, and the reason I named those specific people is, again, those are the people I kind of started with. And because I started with those people, not everybody gets to start with big names like that. And then you get bigger names like Rob Coleman, Bill Stone, and just, you get very lucky. You get extremely lucky working with people like that. And then Tyrone Gaines, Rich Green, you know, I'm trying to throw out big names who are just like, you get so lucky. And it's like, how do you get lucky in a game that you've only been doing a year and you have already big names in your repertoire that you've worked with and or have seen and or, you know, I still fangirl over the people that I get to talk to. The fact that I get to hug some of these people is like, you know, and it blows my mind. It does. It blows my mind that I talk to these people and I can be friendly with them. People like Lex, you know, it's just like, you get very lucky. You do. You get extremely lucky. And I'm very lucky that I was so new and got hooked up with the right people and the connections. But it's so funny too, because me and my anxiety, I've told this story before and I'll tell it again, but before I got into comedy, I was actually looking to get another service dog, and that just wasn't an option at the time. Right now it's not. My service dog is retired, but he goes out on occasion. But it's like, what was I gonna do? My anxiety was getting to the point that I was almost not gonna be able to go out as much. And then comedy fell into my lap. Comedy became like my second service dog. Got me out of this funk that I was really in. And yes, I look very confident on stage. Yes, I talk to people. But you don't understand that I still go through these mental attacks in my head when I go to Walmart by myself. And I hate it. Because I can't take my dog everywhere with me anymore because he is getting older. I can't work him every day like I used to. And it sucks. And I really wish I could. Comedy is giving me a lot of confidence in terms of my anxiety that I need. So when the time comes that I can't get another service dog, I don't have to be as anxious as I was. And I'm really glad I got comedy and stepped on the stage when I did. Had I not, I'm not sure where I would be right now. I'm not. So I'm very, very lucky in that aspect. But yeah, so, you know, I think one of my favorite things in the year that I've been doing comedy, I think one of my favorites was meeting Michael Winslow from Spaceballs. And hearing him in live show was very cool. He played like he was in a whole band. It was just him. It was very cool. And then this Sunday I'm seeing Marlon Wayne, which is going to be very exciting, from White Chicks. So I'm super stoked about that. So yeah, there's going to be a lot on the horizon in terms of comedians that I've seen or are going to see as well. So yeah, there's a lot. And so yeah, guys, thanks for tuning into What's So Funny. And then if you've watched this, you should go see Food for Thought. And I'll talk to you guys all later. Bye!